Hey guys, welcome back to another episode from Quickfreeze's Game Room. Today is going to be episode 8 of Quickfreeze Versus, and I'm going to be playing a game starring one of the most recognized heroes in comic book history. The amazing, the sensational, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, before I go on, this episode was a request to me by a fellow YouTuber by the name of Gibbotron. Spider-Man was created by two people, artist Steve Ditko and writer Stan Lee, and was first introduced in the comic book Amazing Fantasy 15 in 1962. Now, with the success of the Fantastic Four, Stan Lee wanted to create a new hero which arose from the demand of teenage comic books, and had the desire to create a character with whom teenagers could relate to. And the result of that was Peter Parker. Now, the idea to give Peter Parker the powers of a spider was when Stan Lee noticed a spider crawling up the wall of his office. However, Stan Lee had to get the approval from Marvel's publisher Martin Goodwin before Spider-Man could swing into comics. Unfortunately, Spider-Man was not even given the chance to spin his own web. It wasn't until a few months later that Martin Goodwin eventually agreed to let Stan Lee put Spider-Man in an upcoming final issue of a canceled sci-fi series known as Amazing Adult Fantasy, which was later renamed to Amazing Fantasy for the single issue of number 15. A few months after Spider-Man's introduction in Amazing Fantasy 15, publisher Martin Goodwin reviewed the sales figures for that issue and was shocked to find that it has become one of Marvel's best-selling comic books of that time. Within the following year, Spider-Man got his own ongoing series, beginning with Amazing Spider-Man number 1 of March of 1963. But when Spider-Man was first introduced in the early 1960s, teenagers in superhero comic books were usually the sidekicks and not the heroes. Unlike previous teen heroes, such as Bucky or Robin, Spider-Man did not get any help from any adult mentors, such as Captain America or Batman. Thus, had to learn for himself that with great power comes with great responsibility, a line included in a text box in the final panel of the first Spider-Man story. And I hope you guys enjoyed a brief history of the character Spider-Man, but let's get started and play this game, Spider-Man for the Nintendo 64. Now, before I said I usually allow myself 10 continues to complete a game, but this game doesn't have continues. So what I'm going to do is I'm allowing myself 4 days to beat this game. If I have to go into the 5th day, then I have not conquered this game and Spider-Man has beaten me. But yeah, let's get started and play Spider-Man for the Nintendo 64. Okay, here we are. This is Spider-Man for the Nintendo 64. As soon as we press start, we are introduced to this comic book panel where Dr. Otto Octavius is showing off his newest technology that will benefit all of mankind. But during the presentation, a dark figure attacks. It's not only then Spider-Man. Peter Parker, being in the audience, is confused because he in fact is Spider-Man. Eddie Brock is also in the audience and wastes no time taking photos of Spider-Man as he steals the device. Spider-Man sees Eddie and webs up his camera. As Spider-Man runs away, Eddie Brock, unable to hold his anger for Spider-Man, unleashes himself and becomes Venom. While this is happening, a strange gas is filling up New York by a mysterious figure.
Hey, Spider!
Hey, Black Cat, what's going on?
I know there's been some trouble, but the bank's being robbed, and they've got hostages. Use your Spidey compass to get to the bank quickly.
Thanks, Cat.
Despite the recent theft of Otto Octavius' device, Black Cat informs you that the bank is being held hostage by criminals. Your first mission is to get to the bank and stop them. Like most games, this level is usually the tutorial level. This is where you learn how to swing with your web and also fight. The combat system is broken down with 3 buttons. The right C button is punch, the down C button is kick, and the up C button is all your web attacks. The left C button is not used. Once you make it inside the bank, you have to rescue all the hostages while taking out all the guards. I found out the best way to do this is simply get on the ceiling and web up all the enemies. Now this reminds me of Metal Gear Solid, where you gotta sneak around, because if you're caught, the hostages will be killed, and if a single one is killed, you have to restart the entire level all over again. But once you rescue all the hostages and make it to the bank vault, you'll realize that there's criminals inside with hostages and a bomb. You have less than 2 minutes to take out all the criminals without any hostages being harmed.
The robbers have been taken care of.
You'll soon realize that the only way to stop the bomb is to not defuse it, but by detonating it, by throwing it into the bank vault where it could do no harm.
Not this time, guys.
After the bank robbery, you call J. Jonah Jameson to tell him that you have photos of the robbery, but find out that Scorpion is attacking him. You have to quickly get to the Daily Bugle before J. Jonah Jameson is killed by a Scorpion. And this is where the game introduces its racing mechanic, where you have to get to the Daily Bugle before the Scorpion icon reaches the J. Jonah Jameson icon on the top of the screen. Now let me take a moment to talk about the swinging mechanics. To swing, you simply press R, and you'll swing to the closest platform or wall nearest to you. Now this works really well, because if a platform is above or below you, it doesn't really matter, because you'll automatically swing either upward or downward to match that platform. When you actually make it to the Daily Bugle, you'll find Scorpion attacking J. Jonah Jameson. Now your goal here is to take out Scorpion while protecting J. Jonah Jameson. My advice to you is simply ignore J. Jonah Jameson and attack Scorpion this way. Run up close and do 2 kicks and quickly jump away. If you try to do 3 kicks, you'll most likely be hit by Scorpion and take a lot of damage. Since you have lower life than Scorpion, you don't want this to happen. Now, you can use your web to tangle up Scorpion for a few seconds, but this doesn't really matter. I would just simply jump in, do 2 kicks, and quickly jump away. Follow this strategy, and Scorpion will go down no problem. To thank you for saving his life, J. Jonah Jameson blames you for the Scorpion attack and the Science Expo heist. He calls the police in, and you have no choice but to jump out the window and escape.
Move it, move it, move it.
During the next stage, you want to keep moving forward as much as possible, because there's a helicopter behind you shooting its rockets and machine gun fire at you. As you move forward through the stage, you'll encounter police officers on the rooftops. Don't bother fighting them, just ignore them and keep on moving. If you keep doing this, you should be able to get to the end. When you're finally safe, you find out from Black Cat that Rhino and Venom are causing trouble downtown, and Venom has captured Mary Jane. But before you save Mary Jane, you must take out Rhino at the power plant. Now Rhino is actually quite simple. All you really have to do is stand in front of one of these generators and wait for Rhino to charge at you. When he does, jump out of the way. He'll then electrocute himself, doing damage. Each generator will take 2 hits from Rhino before going out. I recommend taking out all 4 generators, that way you do the max amount of damage to Rhino before you have to fight him hand to hand. Now once all the generators are destroyed, there are barrels on each corner of the room. You want to do the same thing with the generators. Stand in the barrels and quickly dodge Rhino as he comes toward you. Then run up and do 2 kicks at him and then jump away. Doing this will take Rhino down.
Hurry up, Parker!
With Rhino taken care of, your next goal is Venom. Just like the helicopter stage, you simply have to chase Venom. Now there's a meter on top of the screen with the Spiderman and Venom icon. If the Spiderman icon goes all the way to the left side of the screen, you've lost track of Venom and have to start the entire stage all over again. Let me take a moment to talk about this power-up because I only encountered it once in the entire game. This is the Spider Armor, which doubles Spider-Man's life. And this is really good because Spider-Man's life is really low. And once you die, that's it. You only get one life. So this is a very essential power-up. When you finally catch up to Venom, you have to fight him. But before I tell you how to beat him, let me tell you that your web, it becomes very important throughout the rest of the game. The web has different attacks. If you simply press the up C button, you just do the tangle with the web. If you press the up analog stick with the up C button, you do impact webbing, which delivers a lot of damage to an enemy. If you press the right analog stick with the up C button, you do a web dome. It is best to taking out several enemies surrounding you. If you press the left analog stick with the up C button, you do web gloves, which doubles your attack power. If you press the down analog stick with the up C button, you do a web pull, which pulls enemies towards you. Now on to Venom. You'll notice that Venom will keep disappearing and reappearing around the room. When he reappears, do 2 impact webbings, then he'll disappear. Sometimes Venom will pull you close and do a lot of damage to you, but don't worry, there's a lot of health and a lot of web cartridges around. Just keep doing the impact webbing and Venom will go down.
Not too far, Spider.
With Venom defeated, he then rushes into the sewer, revealing that his plan is not yet over. You have no choice but to go after him and save Mary Jane. Once you make it in the sewers, you'll soon realize that the controls aren't that great in this game, especially when you're trying to lock onto something that you have to swing to. Now, to do this, you simply hold the Z button and then press R to swing. Once you get past the sewers, you then see Venom jump aboard a train. You have to follow him, but before you can catch him, you are attacked by an endless amount of lizard creatures. Now this is more of like an endurance round, where you have to stay on the train until the train icon at the bottom of the screen reaches all the way to the right. Now you gotta be careful because if you fall off the train, you'll obviously die, and you have to start the entire level all over again. Try to stay in the middle because sooner or later, web cartridges and life power-ups will come by and automatically hit you, refilling your life or web cartridges. Once you're done with the train, you are back into the sewers, but this time you have to deal with water. You wouldn't really think this is a problem for a guy that could stick to walls, but this water doesn't exactly stay still, because it will rise up to the ceiling, and if you touch this water, it's instant death. So basically, you have to take your time throughout the entire level. If you try to rush it, you'll definitely die. It's best just to take your time, go slow, and you should make it. In the next part of the watery sewers, you're presented with the first puzzle in the entire game. During this puzzle, you have to hit a series of switches to unlock doors that Venom has trapped you behind.
Hurry up, Spidey.
My advice to you is to try every switch. Find out which one opens which door. With a little patience and a little time, you'll eventually get the puzzle correct. It's not that hard of a puzzle.
Rain on Spidey.
But once you solve it, you simply just get to the top of the room and exit the level. Once you get out of the puzzle switch room, you are presented with another puzzle. But this one comes in the form of a watery maze. My advice to you is simply stay on the ceiling and explore a lot. This may take you some time, but eventually you'll get some help from unexpected places.
I knew it.
Spider-Man! Venom has imprisoned me and has taken my lair. Now he's using my lizard man against you.
No.
He's also imprisoned that Parker woman.
Where is she?
He's in the lair at the end of the maze. There's only one way to get there. Go back along this tunnel and cross over 2 waterways. At the 3rd waterway, go right. Follow it around the corners, past the machinery, skip the first tunnel intersection, then go right at the next one. You will find the woman there.
Thanks, Lizard.
If you follow the lizard's directions, you should be able to get out of the maze without any trouble. Now get ready for the next fight with Venom.
Spider.
Help! Is anybody there? Help me!
Mary Jane!
Please!
Hey, you made it!
Venom!
I'd let you see your wifey poo, but she's in a bad light now. So, what do you think? Let's finish this!
Here you are at the final showdown with Venom. Again, your weapon of choice is the impact webbing. You want to shoot 2 impact webbings at him before he disappears, but only to reappear somewhere else in the room. But this time, you don't only have to fight Venom, but you also have to save Mary Jane, who is hanging in the center of the room above water. Venom will teleport around the room, hitting 4 switches, turning on the water. If the water level reaches Mary Jane, she dies, and you have to start the entire fight all over again. My advice to you is to stay in the center of the room and continuously rotate the camera, waiting for Venom to appear. When he does, attack him with your impact webbing. But be careful. If you shoot your impact webbing at one of the switches, you'll turn on the water. With a little patience and a little careful shooting, you should be able to defeat Venom and save Mary Jane. After the fight, Venom realized you were not the one who destroyed his camera and stole the device at the Science Expo, but it was an imposter, either being Chameleon or Mysterio. Venom decides to apologize and to join you in his fight to stop either Chameleon or Mysterio. But first, Spider-Man decides to go see J. Jonah Jameson at the Daily Bugle. Once inside the Daily Bugle, you realize that alien symbiotes have taken over the building and using hostages as future hosts. Your job is to defeat all the symbiotes and rescue all the humans that are being captured. Your next goal is to get to the basement of the Daily Bugle. Here you ride on top of the elevator as it slowly goes down, and random symbiotes will fall from the ceiling, attacking you. It's best to stay on the elevator as it falls. You can jump off, but I wouldn't recommend it because there'll be symbiotes waiting for you at the bottom. So stay on the elevator and wait till it slowly goes down, breaking the symbiote webbing. When you do get to the bottom, quickly press the button and get out of there, because the symbiotes are really hard to defeat when they're grouped together.
A symbiote generator! So this is how the symbiotes are being created.
When you get to the basement, your goal is to destroy the symbiote generators. Now you want to destroy these things quickly, because they'll keep regenerating symbiotes. Once you've destroyed all the generators in the basement, your next goal is to destroy all the generators in the boiler room. Now, I recommend using the web gloves for these parts, because the symbiotes are actually kind of hard to beat. So, the more damage you can do to them, the better you are at destroying all the generators and the symbiotes. When you destroy all the symbiotes in the basement, simply follow the arrow to the end. When you do, you'll see a mighty surprise. You're face to face with the imposter, Spider-Man.
Don't make me come after you.
Once you track down and finally caught up with the imposter Spider-Man, you realize that he is none other than your arch enemy, Mysterio, the Master of Illusions. Suddenly, Mysterio will grow 3 stories tall. Now during this fight, you'll notice that Mysterio has 6 golden power orbs on his chest, feet, and arms. Your goal here is to use your impact webbing to hit those power orbs until they're all destroyed. Now this can be kind of difficult because Mysterio will continuously slam his feet and fist down, smashing it on the ground. But when you're able to destroy all the power orbs, Mysterio will gain full health and you have to reach to the top platform and fight him there. Here Mysterio will get new attacks such as the laser beam, which he will shoot out of his chest. Now these will kill you if you're not careful. My advice for you is to continuously run around the room because there's an endless supply of web cartridges and life. Now when you actually get the nerve, get in front of Mysterio and quickly use your impact webbing. You may or may not hit him, but be patient and you will get him in the end. With Mysterio defeated, you find out the man behind all the symbiotes is hiding in a warehouse downtown.
Looks like I have to clean this place.
Just like the Daily Bugle, you have to destroy a series of symbiote generators. This shouldn't be too hard, especially with the help with the new power-up, fire webbing. This works just like your normal webbing, but against symbiotes, this is very, very deadly, and it will kill them instantly just with a simple tangle.
For the generators.
Once you destroyed all the generators, you find an unknown tunnel through the air vents leading to an underground lab.
You gotta be kidding. Okay, recap. A couple of 100 feet underwater, electrified floors and walls, and deadly turrets pointing straight at me. Oh, my day just keeps getting better and better.
Despite Spider-Man's sarcastic humor, this next part is quite simple. Just like the helicopter chase and the chase with Venom, just keep moving. Don't stop, don't destroy any of the robots. Just keep moving forward, and you should be fine. After getting past all the gun turrets and the electrified floors and walls, you're in a room with 6 doors. Now here, you have to fight your way through all the symbiotes, but if you have fire webbing, this should be no problem. What you want to do is head to the security control. Here, you'll find a captured black cat.
Spider-Man, I'm so happy to see you.
Black Cat, what are you doing? Who's behind? What's going on here?
Your guess is as good as mine. The guys in the ambulance must have drugged me because the next thing I knew I woke up here. You've got to get me out of here.
Okay, Cat, but how?
If you can somehow shut down the power, I can escape.
You got it.
Backtrack to the previous room and try one of the other 6 doors. Eventually you'll find 3 switches. Not only will this free Black Cat, but it will also prevent the deadly gas from filling New York City. After closing the last vent and saving Black Cat, you find out who the mastermind is. Dr. Octopus himself. But this time, he's working with Carnage to gain control of all the symbiotes. You have no choice but to stop him.
I need to find some way to drop power away from
When the fight with Dr. Octopus begins, simply run around the room until a control panel drops down. Get in front of the control panel and either punch it or hit it with your webbing. This will bring up another force field, blocking off part of the room. But continue running around the room until another control panel drops down. When you hit 4 control panels, the force field around Dr. Octopus lowers. Hit him with your impact webbing as much as you can. Eventually, the force field will come back up, and you have to repeat the process all over again. Keep doing this until Dr. Octopus is finally defeated. After the fight, Carnage suddenly grabs you out of nowhere. Now, it's time to fight him. Now Carnage happens to be the hardest boss in the entire game, and there's 2 ways to beat him. The first way is to pull him into the center of the room. This is a sonic bubble. Once Carnage is in the center of the room, use your web tangle to keep him in there. The longer you keep him in the bubble, the more damage you do to him. Unfortunately, I ran out of webbing, so I had to use the second way to beat him. The second way is very, very long and tiring, but it will kill him. This is how you do it. What you want to do is continuously run around the room. It doesn't matter which direction, but you'll notice that Carnage will jump over the sonic bubble. Now this is very good, and like I said, this is long and tiring, but if you keep running around the room, eventually Carnage will jump through the bubble. When he does this, he'll damage himself, so keep running around the room. There's an endless amount of supplies, such as life and web cartridges, but keep running around the room. Eventually, Carnage will kill himself by jumping through the sonic bubble. After the fight, the Carnage symbiote leaves Cassidy and moves to the next available person. You guessed it, Doc Ock, creating Monster Ock. The Monster Ock symbiote will start chasing you, and what you want to do is run and don't stop. Just like the Venom chase, there's an icon on the top of the screen for the Monster Ock and Spiderman. If the Monster Ock icon touches the Spiderman icon, you die, and you have to start the entire level all over again. Now you'll notice on the side of the screen is a radioactive scale. This doesn't really matter. All this really means is as you go down the tunnel, it'll fill up. If the meter fills all the way to the top, that means you're closer to the end. But just keep on running and you'll eventually make it. This level actually took me a few tries because the controls are actually quite frustrating. But keep at it and you will eventually make it to the end. After you get out of the tunnel, you'll realize that the symbiote has saved Dr. Octopus's life, but was burned away from the explosion. But then suddenly, Spider-Man realizes that the Avengers have come to help, even though it was a little too late. But not to worry, the Avengers take Spider-Man back to their headquarters to play a nice game of Go Fish. But there you have it. That's Spider-Man for the Nintendo 64. It took me 2 days to beat this game, and I gotta say, it was actually quite good. Okay, there you have it. I was able to beat Spider-Man for the Nintendo 64 within 2 days. Now, my final thoughts of this game? It wasn't a bad game. The combat is simple, easy to get into. The web swinging isn't really quite accurate, but it works for that time. Now, the controls and the camera angles weren't all that great, but you could easily work around them if you just gave it a little time. But in short, this game was okay. Do I recommend it? Not really. Unless you're like a true Spider-Man fan. If you are, then I would definitely give it a try. Anyway, that is episode 8 of Quickfreeze Versus. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I will be posting a list of all my superhero games that I own, so if you guys would like to request a game, please do so. Please understand I do have a few requests already, so it may take me some time to get to that game that you guys request. But with that, I just like to say thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed my video. And I'm just going to end with, I'm Quickfreeze from Quickfreeze's Game Room, and I'm here to bring gamers together, one game at a time.